Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I am Kaylee Batesman, the content director at She Can Code, and today we're discussing mentorship. Now, mentorship is a great pathway for enhancing employee skills and enabling them to tap into valuable knowledge and experience. But what about the mentors themselves? Today, I'm lucky enough to have not just one, but two mentors from the Farfetch mentoring program to hear about why they're involved and what they've learned so far. So welcome to Beatriz Quintino, Senior Data Scientist at Farfetch, and Mariana Ferreira, Lead Product Manager at Farfetch. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Kate. Yeah, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, we'd love to set the scene a little bit because we've got a lot to chat about today. But can we get started with a bit of an intro from both of you, a bit about your backgrounds, please? Mariana, should we start with you?
Sure. So my name is Mariana. I'm a lead product manager, as you said, at Farfetch for almost 10 years, which makes me feel like a dinosaur in the company. I have a degree in IT management, but and sorry for that, I was never a code fan. So I started in the consultancy, never code much. Then I moved to a more marketing and commercial role until and project management until I joined Farfetch and started in the world of Scrum and in the product area.
Amazing. And Beatriz?
Yeah, so from my side, my background is a little bit more techy and nerdy, probably.
It's nice to have a balance.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm a senior data scientist at Farfetch, almost 2 years now at Farfetch. So yeah, also a shorter history at Farfetch. And my background is from electrical and computers engineering, and I actually did a PhD in machine learning. Focusing on computer vision methods for image classification. So yeah, again, a bit more techy and nerdy. And yeah, I'm actually currently working on the topics I work on my PhD and did some research. So yeah, that's about it.
It's always interesting to hear the routes into tech, though, and it's so interesting to hear that both of you ladies have completely different routes in, and that one, is saying I'm technical and there's one non-technical, because that's what we love to hear on this podcast, that there are so many different routes in, and that you don't have to think, I have to study computer science at university to go into technology.
Exactly, and I have to do programming to have success in tech companies.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. And so obviously both of you are, love working at Farfetch, and that you're having a great career path there so far, that you've both joined the mentoring program that Farfetch run. Can you tell us a little bit about that mentoring program and why it's so important?
Yeah, well, I can give it a start. So yeah, this is my first time in the program. And I think, well, the program is really, I would say it's longer than other programs I know. It runs for more than 10 months. So it's really a great opportunity to work some skills with your mentee and watch her progress throughout this time. So that's really, really a nice feature. It's not like a one-shot thing or a short-term compromise. So it's kind of a long-term relation that you can have with your mentee. And I think it's a really great opportunity to also share like the positive and nurturing culture that Farfetch has. So I don't know, Mariana, if you want to give any more details, but for me, those are like two really important main points that kind of sets the difference for this mentorship program.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think the Farfetch mentorship program is absolutely amazing and beneficial for both mentee and mentor in terms of professional and personal growth. So they also have the opportunity to interact with other mentees and share different background stories, goals, cultural differences. And one of the things that my mentee said the other day is that we are like professional moms to them, which fulfill my heart.
That is nice.
Yeah, and what can I say? I wish I could have a similar program when I started my journey.
Yes.
I would say exactly the same. That was actually one of the points, I would like to mention is that, I would love to have such an opportunity at an earlier stage of my career. Actually, you can get kind of these insights into like companies when you do an internship program, but this is different. Like you have someone dedicated and tackling any question you have. And I think we've also made a huge commitment and effort to create like this safe sharing space that we have with our mentees, which maybe doesn't happen in other like opportunities like internships or other kinds of situations. So yeah, definitely would love to have had such an opportunity earlier on.
Yeah. And how were you matched? You both mentioned that you have a mentee each. Was there a process that you went through, or did somebody say, you know, this person would be a really good match for you in the area that you work in?
We've submitted some points of our career path, and I think the mentees went through the same process. So they filled in an application, saying where they were now and what they were trying to look for in this program. And I really felt that in my case, for instance, the match was really well thought and was curated because in my case, my mentee is still in academia, so she's still studying. And since I had some background, I spent some time in academia. Actually, we've been having the opportunity to discuss what are like main differences between academia and being in industry. And she's also thinking of pursuing a PhD, so we could discuss plenty on that topic. So it really felt like a really, really great match.
Yes. Yeah. And so what made you both want to get involved in the first place when you heard about the program?
Well, essentially, I wanted to give back to the community. I wanted to guarantee that I have an important role in reducing the imposter syndrome that can result from not having enough experience or knowledge at the beginning of your career. You know, as I said before, I didn't have that chance. So basically, and I wanted for these young women not feeling the same. So I was the only woman most of the times, even in classes, canteens, or even in professional meetings. And sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, and so many people feel the same way and don't realize, do they? It's just not spoken about. But to hear about it from somebody that's been in their career a little longer, just to hear, you know what, you're not the only one.
Exactly. In
really
this
helpful
area, the tech area is very man dominant
Yeah.
in these days as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny that Mariana mentioned this because we didn't align on anything before this conversation, but my main feeling is also of giving back. In my case, I did have some cases of older women doing some mentorship for me. So I wanted kind of to give back to them and continue on that, like keeping that chain of continue to mentoring younger girls in my case. So there was also that feeling of giving back to the community, to younger girls, but also like following the examples of women before me. And especially in my case personally, I've really felt like my mom, she also works in the tech area. So this is a bit more personal, but she was kind of a mentor to me throughout my journey. And it's really nice that also Mariana mentioned that her mentee just said that she was kind of playing a mother role. So this all ties really, really well. And I also felt that, and I was really happy. I remember telling my mom, I'm going to be a mentor and I'll try to be on your shoes to encourage younger girls to get into tech. So it was kind of a bit more like trying to keep the example from. I was lucky enough to have some women mentors in the past.
Yeah. And so as the professional mum, how do they then take those learnings and apply them in the workplace?
Yeah, so in my case, I remember we did the SWOT analysis, for example, and we worked on the weakness and areas where she was strong. I also put her in touch with the engineers in my team so she can have a more tech overview of the company. So she's still not sure if she's going to a more tech role or other areas. She's still working on that. So we also worked a lot on her soft skills. I helped building her LinkedIn page, for instance. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that she can apply in the future based on our conversations.
Yeah.
In my case, since my mentee is still studying, but yeah, there are a lot of learnings she could also apply. And we were focusing more on like career advising for her future and decisions between like following master's, PhD, going to industry, internships, etc. And also, yeah, working on CV because she's doing her CV for the first time for these internships, and then after finishing graduation, and also, yeah, preparing for these possible internship interviews. And yeah, knowing a bit more what like companies are looking for in someone with her profile. So yeah, we're covering this more career advising, CV, preparing for internships, and yeah, knowing a bit more better about what companies are looking for.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you next about the questions that the mentees tend to ask you. I suppose what I'm wondering is, do they come, brimming with questions and things that they would love to know, or have you found them to be quite introverted and not knowing, you trying to pull them out of yourselves? But Mariana, I can see you nodding there, like.
Yeah. My mentee, she's so organized. She always comes with a bunch of questions, and it was so funny because when I talked with the first engineer in my team that she was going to talk, I told him she does a lot of questions, be prepared. And when they end up the conversation, he told me, whoa, when I was like 18 years, I didn't know what I wanted. I wasn't able to do so many questions. So that's why I was laughing, because yeah, she always comes very prepared. She's still studying as well as Beatriz mentee. She applied for an internship now. She's working in a hospital in Boston, in doing things in the technical department, the IT department. And I also was asked to write a recommendation letter for her, which was the first time I had to do it. But essentially, as Beatriz was saying, she asks a lot of interview advices because they will start doing the resume, the LinkedIn, also networking tips. She requests a lot. And I think most of all, I share a lot of my day-to-day experience. She likes to know what was the biggest challenge of the week, how did I deal with this situation, others. So it's pretty much on real life cases.
Yeah, because I was thinking, well, me at 18, I might not have been asking as many questions. And also, you don't always know what to ask, but it's nice to hear that they're coming with a list of things, or that they're really taking advantage of the opportunity and thinking, you know what, I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to ask as many questions as I can. Beatriz, what about your mentor? Is she just as organized?
Well, I think she doesn't put that so upfront. Like it doesn't look like she has a list, but she has her goals are very clear in her mindset, I would say. So yes, she had some questions about what's like working in a company like Farfetch with such a big dimension, with different businesses and what different roles you may play inside Farfetch. And also, yeah, what's like working in the fashion domain, because it's always a very peculiar and super interesting domain. And she made me a hard question about like what's like to be a woman working like in your team, and how does that affect your day-to-day basis. I actually had to reflect on that to be able to answer, and I think that was a really great question that she came up with. And then we also talked a bit about differences between academia and in industry because of our common background. And also, she wanted to use this opportunity to improve some skills. So we identified that in the beginning, and she wanted to train public speaking. She felt she had lack of confidence, and since on a day-to-day basis we also communicate and interact a lot at Farfetch, and Farfetch was awesome to provide us with some training resources for us to share. So I did that training with her, and she watched a lot of videos, did activities, and in the end she made a presentation with all the tips she had learned. And so hopefully she now feels more confident about delivering a speech or a presentation to an audience. She had those ideas when she joined, and she was pinpointing to improve some of her skills. I would say mostly around those points.
Yeah, amazing. And it's lovely as well that you have a long-term relationship with these ladies, and it's obviously something that you can get to learn more about their personality and what might be suited for them, or just to see them grow, I suppose, instead of just a one-off coffee with somebody and trying to give them advice. During that relationship, are you noticing any patterns with the women that you mentor? Beatriz, you were just mentioning there about finding the confidence for public speaking. Do you find there's any patterns with, and the stereotype of women in tech is they don't always put themselves forward for great roles. They don't always feel that they meet everything that's listed on the job advertisement. Is that something you're both finding with your mentees?
Definitely, yes. I've felt it from personal experience, and I can kind of see that reflection on these mentees. And I wanted to pick up also again on the imposter syndrome that Mariana mentioned. I think that's like sometimes an elephant in the room that we all face. And also that was one of my main reasons to grab this mentorship program. I think it's like a great way to fight this. We've mentioned this in our talks, in our conversations with my mentee, the imposter syndrome. I hope I do see that this lack of confidence sometimes is a bit transversal to different areas of working, and also this lack of confidence in speaking in public, as I was mentioning. I think it has also a bit to do with the imposter syndrome. Definitely those are related, and we do see that maybe unfortunately still as a pattern, but we are trying to fight that actively, fight against that very actively, so that like this younger generation feels much more empowered by the careers we have had, and showing that unfortunately imposter syndrome is natural, but we do need to fight it, because there's no reason to feel that. But unfortunately we've seen, and there are loads of studies showing that especially women, and especially in these like environments that are dominated by males, we tend to feel that a lot more. So, but hopefully this mentorship program is a great way to combat and fight this. But I don't know, Mariana, if you have also
I totally agree with everything you said. I will just add that they all have the energy and the will to learn new things. They are very keen to learn and to know more from us. And also, I think they all have, as you touched on that point as well, Beatriz, the wish to work at Farfetch. So Farfetch is a sexy company. It's the fashion world with the code and the techie part. So I think this is also a huge opportunity for them to know better about the company.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
sure.
going to say it's obviously you have the luxury of being at a company that sounds fun and that they would want to work at. Have you heard them express views maybe about the tech industry where you think that sounds a little bit negative? Sometimes the tech industry is seen as you have to be a techie to go into it, and you have to be a certain stereotype to work in the industry. And it has quite a bad rap, doesn't it, tech as a whole? Is that something that you hear them say to you, which, as you say, you have the luxury of telling them actually it's absolutely the opposite of that, where you both work?
Totally, yes. My mentee, she touched that point, and she was asking specifically about some tech companies. And of course, another thing that Mariana had pointed out are networking tips. And of course, as we are in our careers, we have like these huge networks, and we can take some learnings from the people we know working at other companies, and we know other realities. So yeah, I was trying to explain to her. Of course, there are different realities. Some are more negative, others are really, really much more positive. And I was trying to show her like in how many different ways Farfetch, in how many ways Farfetch is so different from some of, for instance, those consultancy companies in which mindset is still very different. I told her that, for instance, in my team, we kind of work as a tech startup in some way. So we have lots of flexibility and freedom, and we can speak here about like work-life balance, and the schedule flexibility, etc. So she had concerns about that, of course, and she was asking for like some specific companies, and we discussed that. Definitely that was an important point for her. And again, I think Farfetch is really, really sexy for our mentees, and we have the opportunity to touch on all those points and show the great benefits that we have, and how that impacts our daily life. And especially, like, I really love the work-life balance we get, and that was something I really try to pass the message on to her about. So yeah.
And yours sounds very organized and knows what she wants anyway. Is that something that you've heard from her, or did she come in full of beans? I know what I want to do, I know where I want to work somewhere like Farfetch?
Yeah, she told me that she's in Boston. She's far away, and she's from Nigeria, which is also good for us for our conversation. So we are all in a very different time zone. And yeah, she always talks about Farfetch with a shine in the eyes, And I always make this disclaimer, and I want to do it as well for people that are listening to us, is that Farfetch is a tech company that works for the luxury market. Okay, because sometimes people get excited with the fashion world, luxury, and that's the business, but the core of the company is tech.
Which makes it so interesting and so fast paced, that it's just a really great place to work with lots of opportunities. And that was the next question as well, but I wanted to ask you about opportunities. What opportunities has this mentoring program, has it given to you to empower young girls?
Well, I was more aware of the gender representativity within teams, still, right? And for me, it also contributed for something I wanted to do for a long time, which was the creation of the Women in Tech Circle network. So basically, we kick off this support network the end of last year, and the mission is to empower women that work in FTech, which is our tech department at Farfetch, to have a more active voice and play a role in driving change in gender representativity at Farfetch. So like Beatriz said. So we want a safety place in the company where people can share experiences and talk without fears and feel safe.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You choose yourself.
Yeah. On my side, I think this has also given me the opportunity to put my own career into perspective. So kind of doing a retrospective analysis, which is something we also do on a weekly basis in our tech teams. I did it to myself, thinking of where my mentee is at now, and where I was at her age, and how can I compare the careers, and also something I feel I'm really benefiting a lot from these interactions and the contact with my mentee is kind of being able to bridge the age gap. Like you keep these young spirits and communicating with, getting new ideas and keeping updated about like what's new in the young girls' minds. So I really like that because sometimes when you work in a company, you are surrounded with people like your own age or even older. And it's really nice to have like this fresh perspective from someone, from a young girl entering the market. So I really like this, having like this fresh perspective and kind of bridging this age gap. Yeah, that was also a really nice benefit.
It sounds like you get a lot back. Both
Definitely.
of you sound like you get a lot back from these young ladies, and just new ideas, as you say, fresh perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
To inspire and be inspired, Kaylee, I would say.
Yes, exactly.
So true.
What advice would you give yourself just starting out? If you were one of the mentees, what would you hope that one of your mentors would say to you?
Yeah, maybe I can start with this one. This is something I've already kind of reflected. And my main conclusion is that give yourself time to find something that you're really passionate about. I think that's really important. In my career, I was able to work in many different areas, so I could experiment a bit of everything. And I took that time, and I think that's really important, that you are really passionate about what you do every day. So what you wake up every day to do. And
that's a great one, Beatriz. It happened to me as well. So really good advice.
And something else is that you, especially in the tech area, is that you should expect to be constantly learning and should be able to be open to learning a different, even from a technical perspective, and also from like soft skills and other perspectives, but be always open and available to new learnings. Yeah, those would be my main two takeaways and advices. Yeah, I would like to know.
Really good advice. And Mariana, is there anything else that you wish someone had told you?
On my point of view, it's the one, don't be afraid to say no, because when we are at the beginning of our career, we want to embrace everything, learn everything, and we don't want to disappoint anyone, so we tend to say yes to everything, and that turns against us. So don't be afraid to say no, and prioritize your tasks and relax. So that's the advice. In the end, everything goes well, and if it's not, so it's not the end yet.
Yes,
so
I love that. Oh, relax. Honestly, if somebody had said that when I was younger, because you're right, you worry so much when you're young, and you know what people think of you at the company and what they're going to think, especially if they're doing something like Patricia, you were talking about public speaking or something like that. You know, it's incredibly daunting when you're young. So just to have somebody say to you, relax.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I would say, yeah, no rush. The journey, like your career journey is so long, and it's really important for you to find the time to find something you're really passionate about. So yeah, relax, no rush. Try to have like a bird's eye perspective view from like very different companies and topics and areas. And yeah, and also something else I always like to say is, and coming from a technical background, is saying that like careers should be highly non-linear, and it's okay that they are non-linear, right? So yeah.
Well, that is lovely advice to end it on today, ladies, because we are already out of time, and it has flown by because it's been such an interesting conversation to have you both with us. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Kaylee.
Kaylee. Nice to meet you.
And
good luck.
you, thank you. And for everybody listening, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you again next time.